Devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet. Nashtaprayeshu Apadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Nestiki. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 9. Dhruva Maharaj returns home. We are covering text 1 through 12. Text 1. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the demigods were thus reassured by the personality of Godhead, they were freed from all fears, and after offering their obeisances, they returned to their heavenly planets. Then the Lord, who is non-different from the Sahasrara incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to the Madhuvan forest to see his servant Dhruva. Text 2. The form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning and in which Dhruva Maharaj, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus Dhruva was perturbed, and his meditation broke. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally present, just as he had been seeing the Lord in his heart. Text 3. When Dhruva Maharaj saw his Lord just in front of him, he was greatly agitated and offered him obeisances and respect. He fell flat before him like a rod and became absorbed in love of Godhead. Dhruva Maharaj, in ecstasy, looked upon the Lord as if he were drinking the Lord with his eyes, kissing the lotus feet of the Lord with his mouth, and embracing the Lord with his arms. Text 4. Although Dhruva Maharaj was a small boy, he wanted to offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in suitable language. But because he was inexperienced, he could not adjust himself immediately. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, could understand Dhruva Maharaj's awkward position. Out of his causeless mercy, he touched his conch shell to the forehead of Dhruva Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. Text 5. At that time, Dhruva Maharaj became perfectly aware of the Vedic conclusion and understood the absolute truth and his relationship with all living entities. In accordance with the line of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, whose fame is widespread, Dhruva, who in the future would receive a planet which would never be annihilated, even during the time of dissolution, offered his deliberate and conclusive prayers. Text 6. Dhruva Maharaj said, My dear Lord, you are all-powerful. After entering within me, you have enlivened all my sleeping senses, my hands, legs, ears, touch, sensation, life force, and especially my power of speech. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Text 7. My Lord, you are the Supreme One, but by your different energies, you appear differently in the spiritual and material worlds. You create the total energy of the material world by your external potency, and after creation you enter within the material world as the Supersoul. You are the Supreme Person, and through the temporary modes of material nature, you create varieties of manifestation, just as fire, entering into wood of different shapes, burns brilliantly in different varieties. Text 8. O my Master, Lord Brahma is fully surrendered unto you. In the beginning you gave him knowledge, and thus he could see and understand the entire universe, just as a person awakens from sleep and visualizes his immediate duties. You are the only shelter of all persons who desire liberation, and you are the friend of all who are distressed. How, therefore, can a learned person who has perfect knowledge ever forget you? Text 9. Persons who worship you simply for the sense gratification of this bag of skin are certainly influenced by your illusory energy. In spite of having you, who are like a desire tree and are the cause of liberation from birth and death, foolish persons, such as me, desire benedictions from you for sense gratification, which is available even for those who live in hellish conditions. Text 10. My Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotee is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, wherein one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of the temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by separating sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, he falls down in the due course of time. Text 11. Dhruva Maharaj continued, O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me, so that I may associate with great devotees who engaged in your transcendental loving service constantly as the waves of river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the nation's ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of blazing fire-like dangers. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes, which are eternally existent. Text 12. O Lord, who have a lotus navel, if a person happens to associate with a devotee whose heart always hankers after a lotus feet, seeking always their fragrance, he is never attached to the material body or in a bodily relationship to offspring, friends, home, wealth, and wife, which are very, very dear to materialistic person. Indeed, he does not care for them. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatchadeshadarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Thank you for reading today's translations, Aradhya Devi Dasi Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we'll be discussing 4th Canto, 9th chapter, Dhruva Maharaj's returns home, from verse number 1 to 12. So the glimpse of what we have heard so far from 4th Canto is we have heard Swayambhu Manu's and Shatarupa's dynasty, 3 daughters and 2 sons, Devahuti, Akuti, Prasuti, Uttanapada, Priyavrata. So, Devahuti we have heard till 3rd canto, Akuti and Prasuti we have heard in the 4th canto, and Uttanapada, Priyavrata is currently being discussed. So, Priyavrata is the elder son of Swayambhu Manu, and Uttanapada is the younger one. But interestingly, Maitreya Muni chooses were so eager to bring the topic of Uttanapada in his Krishna Katha before he even delves further into Priyavrata's. The reason being, he's so much eager to read about the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj, which is so wonderful, so pleasing. So we have a fortune of hearing this Katha from devotees. So, and Uttanapada has Suruchi and Sunati as wives. So Suruchi has Dhruva, Suruchi has Uttama as a son, and Suniti has Dhruva as a son. So we have heard Dhruva tried to get on the Uttanapada's lap of father, and his stepmother, who is Suruchi, she chastised little Dhruva, and he's a 5-year-old boy, and he didn't know the difference between stepmother and mother. He thought they're both the same. And so he was advised by Suniti and guided by Narada later. And after Dhruva did austerities in Madhuvana to please the Lord for attaining the highest position in the 3 worlds. So, and the activities of Dhruva Maharaja were further continued, and in this chapter, we are going to discuss how Dhruva Maharaja returns home after taking darshan of Lord Vishnu. So he got darshan of Lord Vishnu by following the austerities and the process mentioned by Guru Narada. So in the 9th chapter, the Lord appears and empowers Dhruva Maharaja to speak. That is what we are going to discuss from 1st to 5th verse. I'll get into the purports. So Lord goes to see Dhruva when demigods were perturbed, when the universe is choked of the life air. The living entities were suffering. And when Lord was approached by demigods for the protection, Lord starts going to see Dhruva in order to see and please what his desire is and give a relief to the demigods. So Maitreya is addressing in the first verse, where great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when demigods were thus reassured that don't worry, I'll take care of this, then they were freed from all fears and they went back to their abodes, right? And Lord, who is non-different from Sahasra incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to Madhuvana forest to see his servant Dhruva. You can see a wonderful connectivity between different uh, uh, different incarnations of Lord Krishna. So here, as you can notice, he appeared as a Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu on Garuda, but he's a non-different from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, because it is mentioned by Maitreya Muni, Sahasha Sishapi to Garutma. So here it is indicated that he is also representing Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu also, though he is a Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu. And Srila Sanatana Goswami in Bhagavatamrita, Sahasra Shisha personality of Godhead who appeared at that time was incarnation known as Prishnigarbha. Prishnigarbha and Sutapa did tapasya for 10,000 years or so, and they got, for getting Lord as a son. So when they did that tapasya, Lord was pleased and appeared. That is the form that we are being witnessed here, Prishnigarbha. So he created the planet known as Dhruvaloka for the habitation of um, Dhruva Maharaj. So Prabhupada is telling us here ahead of time. So that Lord has already made arrangements for Dhruva Maharaj. And the next verse, text 2, Dhruva sees the Lord. The form of the Lord was a brilliant like lightning, and his form was disappeared from his heart, and it happened all of a sudden. Dhruva was perturbed by this, and his meditation broke. When he opened his eyes in that situation, he witnessed Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present in front of him. So Dhruva Maharaja was constantly observing the form of personality of Godhead within his heart in his pure yogic meditation. When this suddenly happened, thought that he had lost him actually. So Dhruva Maharaj was so much disturbed and worried. But to his surprise, when he saw the form of the Lord, as described in Brahma Samhita, it is 5.38, Premanjana Churiti Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hrudayesh Vilo. And this saintly person who has developed love of Godhead for devotional service always sees the Lord's form of Shama Sundara. So when a devotee's eyes are enamored with the love towards the Lord, um, he always sees the Shama Sundara form at all times, at all circumstances. When a devotee becomes mature in this prosecution of this devotional service, he sees face to face the Shyamasundara form. Actually, you might have heard in Damodara Ashtakam, is with seeing the Lord face to face is higher than, is considered higher than seeing the Lord in the heart, perceiving him in the heart. So it is mentioned by Satyavrutti Muni in Damodara Ashtakam, varam deva moksham na mokshavatim va nachanyam vruneham vareshadapiha idam teva purnatha gopala balam sada me manasya varistam ki manye. This beautiful form of Balagopal, may this form of Balagopal manifest within my heart always. Next, Satyavrutti Muni says in the fifth verse, he actually repeats his mood in the next verse. It describes beautiful features of Lord Damodar. Uh, Idam te mukhamboja matyanta nilair vrutam kuntalai snigdha raktaisha gopya muhuschumbitam bimba raktadharam me manasya lakshala bhai. In the sixth verse, however, his desire changes actually. Instead of asking for let the Lord Gopala appear in my heart, now he changes his tone. What is he saying? Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukkha Jalabdhimagnam Krupa Drushti Vrushyati Dinam Batanu Gruhane Namamagnam Edjakshi Drushyaha, he saying. He adds, Edjakshi Drushyaha. May your form be visible in front of my eyes. So that is a means we are able to see the form of Krishna with our eyes is considered more advanced and higher privilege than to be able to see him within his heart. Mm, That's why this is very significant that text 2, when he sees the Lord directly face to face. Ecstasy of Dhruva. What happened after Lord Dhruva has seen Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu in front of him? Is described in the text 3. That darshani that darshanenagata sadavah kshitav. Because of the darshan of Lord, that darshana, Dhruva Maharaj was confused and fall flat on the ground. Kshitav. So, um, avanandata angam vinamya dandavat. So he just offered prostrated obeisances in front of the Lord's. So drugbhyam prapashyan prapiban ivar bhakas. It appeared as if he's drinking sweetness of the Lord with his eyes. He's standing there, and you can see Bhujair Ivashlishan. It appeared as if the Dhruva is embracing Lord Krishna with his with his arms. So you can see Iva was repeated multiple times. Vishnu is standing there, but within his heart, in front of him, but within his heart only, with his internal eyes, he is drinking his beauty. With his internal arms, he is embracing his body. With his internal mouth, uh, he is kissing his lotus feet. Like that, Dhruva Maharaj is experiencing all these features indicate that Dhruva was, Prabhupada says, Dhruva was developed um, uh, 8 types of ecstasies, transcendental ecstasies within the body, which is a great sign of a great fortune, which is actually a great fortune. He has developed so much of love and affection for Krishna that he's experiencing all this even at such a 5-year-old tender age without he has not done any sastric study. He has not explicitly gone to any Patashala to learn any Vedic knowledge, right? And because he's only 5-year-old, because he's just 5-year-old boy, came out of a palace. Now he went to forest, meditating, following the process very sincerely. But the effect of studying all the Vedic literatures, the whole conclusion of the Vedas, the whole conclusion of reading, the essence of reading the scriptures was revealed to him in very short time. So devotee's love for Supreme Personality of Godhead is so intense. Prabhupada says that he wants to kiss lotus feet constantly. He wants to touch the tips of toes of the Lord and constantly embrace his lotus feet. All these features are further, I think it is further described in text 4. It is said, Dhruva Maharaj is a small boy, right? And he wanted to offer prayers. So that is the essence actually. Here it is mentioned, because he is experiencing big whirlpool of emotions within his heart, but he does not know how to express them. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says he actually doesn't know Sanskrit. So how to glorify Lord also he is unaware. Um, so many people are advanced internally, but they may not be able to express it. Because their deep love and affection for Krishna, they may not be able to express it because of their overwhelming feelings. That does not mean they don't have uh, expression ability. Dhruva Maharaj at this stage do not have a bandwidth um, to express it because he is overwhelmed with emotions. And also, another angle is he's an inexperienced small boy. He doesn't have a necessarily vocabulary to glorify the Lord and put it in nice words on what is to describe about what he's experiencing by witnessing Lord's form. So Dhruva Maharaj stands with folded hands. He may desire, he actually desired for praying, but he has no ability to offer prayers. So he doesn't have a capacity, but he has a desire. Willingness is there, but uh, he doesn't have that ability. So here you can see, if you don't have willingness, it's a difficult situation in devotional service, because willingness is our responsibility. First, we should cultivate that. Anything, ability or capacity to do anything for Krishna is bestowed based on the willingness that we possess. That must be cultivated first. So that is how do we cultivate, is using our minute independence and free will. Well, Krishna never interferes or motivates our free will. To desire what and not to desire what. So Krishna gives that sole control to us. So it is our duty to develop the responsibility of, to cultivate the habit of having willingness to serve Lord Krishna, to glorify Lord Krishna, to do all the limbs of devotional service possible. So you have so much of desire. So take this ability. This is the mood of Lord Vishnu at that time. Or dear Udhruva, you have so much of desire. So let's take this ability. Whatever facility you need to serve me like this, right? Whatever intelligence you need in order to glorify me, whatever uh, resources you might need to serve me, I'll send you all of them to you. That was the mood in which he came to Dhruva. Not just simply he came. Not and ultimately, what is relishable to Krishna, he steals the butter of a devotee's heart. So this is the butter he is looking for, willingness. He is not looking for our ability, that I can give donation, I can do so much service, right? And he's not looking for that ability to do, but rather the willingness to do, that you are doing it heartfully for Krishna out of love. I cannot give you or take anything from you. It's all yours. So that is the mood of a devotee, perfect devotee. And even offering prayers also needed encouragement and empowerment, Prabhupada says. We cannot even offer prayers to Krishna without being empowered by Krishna. Because Lord is situated in everyone's heart, specifically gives devotee intelligence to describe, intelligence to glorify him. Like for the example that I heard from the class I was hearing is a crow can fly up to a certain extent. Um, a peacock hardly can fly a few meters, right, above the ground. A eagle can fly, however, few kilometers above this, high up in the sky. Vultures can even fly higher than that, right? Different birds can fly to extend the flying capacity, uh, the capacity that they have to fly. Similarly, different devotees can describe Lord to the extent Krishna gives them the power of description. And so Dhruva is bestowed this power of description to glorify the Krishna, right? As you can from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Satatam, but how okay, how do I get the determination to do that kirtanam, to glorify? Of course, the ability is given by Krishna if I have willingness, but how do I get that willingness more determined, right? Prabhupada infers here verse from Bhagavad Gita itself. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drudavratah. Constantly glorify Lord. Then what happens? It brings determination to further glorify Lord. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha. Then Drudavrata comes, which is strong conviction to further glorify him. So that which is a very nice point mentioned by Prabhupada. As you can also when a devotee speaks, a pure devotee speaks, a saffron dust particles of Krishna's lotus feet carrying in their hearts will emanate from their mouth, and what happens? They enter the ear holes of the listener, sincere listener. What it does, it gives the remembrance of the forgotten tattva about himself and his relationship with the Lord Krishna, his constitutional position, and the information about the Bhagavan. So that is a forgotten information for a conditioned soul. But when he hears like that from a realized soul, the smrutir punar vismruta tattva vartmani. The smriti, the remembrance will naturally come. So whom do we need to listen from? As you can hear, I think it is in 11th canto, it is mentioned, we should hear from Krishna has given this jnana, right? Jnana of knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam to Brahmaji in the beginning of creation. And then after that, it came to Narada Muni. After that, Narada Muni has spoke that to Vyasadeva. And that Vyasadeva has spoke to Sukadeva Goswami. And Parikshita Maharaj further heard it from Sukadeva Goswami along with Suta Goswami. Like that, whoever speaks in the parampara, this is what we need to notice. Where is that? Where am I hearing it from? Like whoever is speaking in the parampara, it is Krishna who is speaking ultimately. But since the parampara, the Vaishnava acharyas are transparently giving us that information spoken by Lord Krishna himself. There is a transparency involved. So the knowledge flows, the essence comes without any tamperment. There is no adulteration in the information. So that is why the information, when we hear it properly, our heart gets gets the Krishna prema. When it matures, our Krishna bhakti matures over many lifetimes, or could one lifetime. When that happens, then all that happens, the starting point is first to have the um, the scriptural knowledge or the Vedic knowledge is bestowed to someone, or even in this case Dhruva, because his desire to offer sincere prayers to the Lord. So that desire must come first. Next, text 5 talks about it's actually Vedic conclusion of understanding between Paramatma and Jiva. Parignyata Paratma Nirnaya. So the Prabhupada writes, the only prayers worth offering are those offered to Supreme Lord, whose reputation is widespread. That is the crux of this prayer in the 5th verse. So Dhruva attained perfection not by, this is another significant point, subtle point mentioned here, Dhruva did not attain this perfection by acting hastily. Oh, Lord appeared, let me start quickly reciting verses that I memorized. Like that, he did not hastily act, but rather um, patiently executing the order of spiritual master over 6 months, Narada Muni. He did not get impatient at any point of time while worshipping Krishna. So he simply sincerely executed them, and he was successful at the end. He saw Lord face to face, and he was able to glorify, though he with the help of Lord's mercy, right? Lord touched his forehead with his conch shell. That is what is described in the 4th verse. So the touch of the Lord of conch shell has given him the ability to glorify him. So Prabhupada also repeats here, no one has the right to glorify Lord unless he is endowed with his causeless mercy. So if you can see Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami, mood of writing Chaitanya Charitamrita was wonderful, right? You can see that you might have heard how wonderfully he described the mood in which he is writing Chaitanya Charitamrita itself. All the ability to write is bestowed by devotees. All the ability to write is bestowed by Mahaprabhu's blessings. That's what he keeps repeating in the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj is able to offer prayers, and Prabhupada here sets the mood that all these prayers are being offered because of being empowerment that Dhruva received from the Lord. So similarly, when it comes to the lessons we learn, though we are eager to accept the instructions from the spiritual master, one has to be also eager to execute them once we receive the instructions. That is one lesson we can get. So there are a perfection of working is working on the instruction of spiritual master. And what is the perfection of meditation? Perfection of meditation is meditation on instruction of, we can consider as a meditation on instruction of spiritual master. Similarly, perfection of worship is the instruction, worshipping the instructions of spiritual master. It does not mean I will simply chant the instructions, but I would execute them also. That is the mode. Um, so empowerment is guaranteed to the one, similar to what Dhruva received when uh, Lord personally empowers, or when spiritual master, out of his sincerity of the disciple, out of the mercy of spiritual master, empowerment comes from the spiritual master, because spiritual master is nothing but expansion of super soul. So super soul exists within and without. So within, he is in the Paramatma form. Without, he is in the form of Guru. So text 6 talks about, this is very wonderful verse you can memorize. Yonta pravishta mama vacham imam prasuptam. So here Dhruva is saying, actually this is a prayer that one can remember before glorifying Krishna, because unless once, because as you know, the power of speech comes with when Lord bestows us that ability, right? That's why it is very relevant for us to recite this verse. Once, mama vacham imam prasuptam, my power of speech has been dormant, sitting, you know it is inundated with so many material things in this material world. But actually, till he speaks Krishna Katha, Prabhupada says, this speech is not a speech at all. The speech is as if he's sleeping only. So the power of speech, um, which is in a dreaming state, which is in a sleeping state, is considered not much of a relevance. For example, a dreaming man says that something murmurs, and there's one who hears beside his bed, oh, this person is probably dreaming. They don't take it seriously. But whereas the same person, if he's saying, um, my heart is paining, I need to get admitted, and he starts shouting or something like that, though he's dreaming, people will take it seriously, right? And um, so the point what I was trying to say is, um, if the person who is in the dreaming state speaking anything, it doesn't make nobody will take it seriously. The extent to which one gets attention in whatever state it is, right, is how, um, for example, if a dreaming person says, let get me an aeroplane, we will not get it, we'll take it easy, right? We'll think that, hey, he's dreaming. um, but Srila Prabhupada gives, um, actually in a different purports also. Let me concise it since we're running out of time. Actually, I'll just so we should be in a mood of giving, um, when we receive empowerment from our superior. Here in the case, Dhruva received empowerment from Lord himself. You'll be Today you'll be little, I'll be going little over time because the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj are little dense and elaborate, and today's session is covering the important verses actually. Please pardon me for that, dear devotees. So we should be grateful for such empowerment, just like how Dhruva is going to be grateful to the Lord. We should be willing to acknowledge such empowerment. Without gratitude, without giving credit to someone who is empowered, our accomplishments will be lifeless. That is the important lesson here. And ekastam ekat, the next verse, text 7, you can see that. Let me read the translation. My Lord, you are the supreme one, but your different energies, you appear differently in spiritual and material worlds. It is mentioned here. So you are one, but you manifest according to your Shakti called Maya, composed of gunas. You create universe, and as a super soul, you enter into materials, and you enter and animate their material senses. So material world has, you know, is a jada tattva, which is lifeless actually. But when he enters materialistic living entities, they get immediately life, and their senses also would be functioning. So different manifestations of Lords, one is mentioned as one energy only here. And this energy, both in the spiritual world and the material world, belong to Krishna only. It is the same thing, energy acting differently. Krishna, of course, it is also described there are multiple types of energy. Bahya Shakti, Antar Shakti, Antargata Shakti, or Tatastha Shakti. There are and Bhakti Shakti, all different energies of Krishna are there, but ultimately it is the energy of Krishna only. So this verse is basically on that context. Lord's energy is one, but it is acting differently according to different dispositions of living entities who the energy is dealing with. That is the point actually. The text 8, here Dhruva is saying Lord is the only shelter. He is the shelter of multiple categories of people, a jnani or a bhakta, right? Or it could be Artha Bhakta or a Jignashu Bhakta or a Jnani Bhakta. Everyone's shelter is simply Lord only. As you see, Lord gives a Jnani, for example, Artha Bhakta, who came for with the difficulty in his life, he will try to be friendly with him, Lord. Someone who came with a Jignasu Bhakta, who is inquisitive Bhakta, he will try to be, you know, give his lotus feet to him, right? Like that, Lord reciprocates for all the three categories. So he is the only shelter. That's the essence of this verse. And Dhruva explains about the person who approaches Lord for material opulence in the 9th verse. So Dhruva is actually repenting for his initial motivation of worshipping Lord Vishnu, which is material, to get a position higher than his father and grandfather, Brahma himself. So now Dhruva, after getting purified through the devotional service, now he is sincerely repenting it in this verse. He's expressing his regret in this verse. Nunam vimushtamatayas tava mayayate. So those who lost their intelligence, what do? They are influenced by your maya, which is, that is what he's explaining in this verse. And I am one of them. So, and you might have, please go and read this, 10th and 11th verses and try to memorize them, which are the wonderful prayers of, where after Dhruva has regretted for his previous mentality, now sharing his understanding and desires. What is a proper desire of a pure devotee? What is proper understanding of a pure devotee? In order to assimilate them in our heart, we can memorize these two verses and their purports. The 10th and 11th are his prayers of Dhruva Maharaj. They are worth of reciting every day actually. And you can see, my Lord, the transcendental bliss delivered from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, wherein one thinks himself merged into the impersonal Brahman as one is supreme, since Brahmananda is also defeated. So basically, Dhruva Maharaj is saying the transcendental bliss received by someone by meditating on your lotus feet is greater than someone who is aiming for impersonal liberation, who achieved impersonal liberation. It is what to speak of these people who are actually trying to go to heavenly planets and trying to get the happiness there. So that is basically what is explained in this verse. So Srila Prabhupada compares yogis and bhaktas. Yogis meditate upon transcendental form of Vishnu, and devotees meditate upon Krishna along with, they'll also engage in the service, not just meditation, the act also. So here basically he compares that. And yogi's ecstasy, karmi's ecstasy is basically, let me go to heavenly planets and enjoy high grade sense gratification. That is their ecstasy, but it is condemned in this verse, right? Anta Kashi Lulitat. Kashi is a sword of time that actually stops that heavenly happiness for that person, karmi. So that is what is why it is condemned, since it is It is having an end. That's why it is condemned. And also it is selfish. That is why it is condemned for so many reasons. Uh, as you can see in text 11, continuing the same theme, he offered his next prayers actually. Dhruva Maharaj continued, "O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I can associate with great devotees, your devotees, who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly, as waves of river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. So I shall surely, just by be associating with them, I shall surely be able to cross the nescience of this material existence." So people might ask, okay, you are asking for now you don't want heavenly kingdom, you don't want anything else. Then you are saying I don't want liberation also. Then what do you want? How will you get? Lord might be thinking, might be asking him, right, Dhruv Maharaj, then what do you want from me? How do you want to get out from this material world or the misery that you just described? Then Dhruv Maharaj is inferring, I will cross all those dangers simply, easily, by just associating with your devotees. That is the essence of this verse. So wonderful verse. Please read this also. And uh, it's actually very elaborate verse. I could not cover many points here. Um, so basically, regulative principles is like when we follow regulative principles sincerely, follow the devotional practices given by Prabhupada, and serve also parallelly, we are like unripe mango where our devotional service is still unripe, right? When we come to a we will come to a spontaneous level at one point after sincerely performing devotional service limbs. Then we become ripe on mango. Then our bhakti becomes more relishable. Till then, the ripened mango cannot be much relished, though it is a mango itself. So that is the another essential points that Prabhupada covers in this purport. It is a mango can be ripe only when there is a proper environmental situation. Similarly, a devotee can be ripened, matured only if he is in the association of devotees. Very important. Only in the association of devotees that someone can be ripened. And uh, further glorifies the association of devotees in the 12th verse. So he says, he may what he's saying is he may do the needful in relationship with all of them, but he's not at all attached to the material plane to all of them, because of one has a responsibility as a member of this society, right? um, you know you can see that he's saying he's renouncing all the attachments that he has, material attachments he has. Suta, suhrut, gruha, vitta, dara, son, friend, home, wealth, wife, relatives, health, everything he's saying. um, you know Such people people who have attachment with these things don't remember you, and they only are concerned about their material bodies. And whereas your devotees, unlike these materialists, what he's saying inferring is your devotees don't care for all these attachments. They are simply engaged in they are acquired the fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet. They're attached to the Krishna's lotus feet. So I want association with such kind of people who are so much have taste for your fragrance of your lotus feet, O Lord Krishna. Like that, this verse talks about actually. But actually, here detachments of the devotees doesn't mean to be irresponsible. At the same time, attachment to these things doesn't mean that he has to be irresponsible. That is basically the balance being for a practical considerations. uh, a grahastha cannot simply say, I am detaching my wife and kids. That is undue detachment. He cannot be irresponsible. Whereas being attached, he cannot simply say, oh, I don't have time for Krishna, I'm busy with my kids and wife. He has to act balanced way for the responsibility and attachment. Anything undue being irresponsible and having undue attachment, both are condemned. Both are unhealthy for us. So self-realization means indifferent to the needs and mood swings of gross and subtle bodies, basically. That is the self-realization. Being indifferent to the needs and mood swings of gross, and not trying to catch up or trying to instantly gratify whatever it asks us, right? Focusing on the self and focusing on the supreme. So that is the essence of these verses today, dear devotees. I only covered fraction of what I could speak within this limited time. This is actually going to take half a day if you read properly all the purports and assimilate. Take just the Prahlad Maharaj prayers from until verse 17 is going to take at least 4 to 5 hours for you to read and enjoy. Please take time in reading them. Today's verses to read, purports to read is 11th and 6th. 11th one is first you could read, followed by 6th verse if you have more time. Thank you so much for your patience, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sundaracala Prabhu. Wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna to all devotees for joining. Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class. Hare Krishna.